Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everybody's having a great Sunday so far. Glad to see you guys all in here. We have Pete, Chip, JD, Brian, Caleb. Caleb just left, but welcome, Caleb. Indiana. I don't know if we had anyone else earlier. Storm Analysis, welcome to the stream. Ponderosa, as well as everyone else who's just watching, may not be chatting. Glad to have you here as well. This is going to be the final update on Beryl, most likely the final update on Beryl. Not sure about coverage tonight. Expecting landfall at 4 or 5 a.m. I've had a long week. I don't know if I can handle that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and dive right on into this. Glad to see you guys all in here. Once again, just going to make sure everything's good here. Yep, we are good to go. So, yeah, let's start with a current view. Actually, we'll just go through all of our outlooks. I was going to do a current view. I mean, here's your MRMS. We do have, of course, our hurricane out here, or not hurricane yet, tropical storm, soon to be most likely a hurricane. It is rapidly organizing thanks to it finally settling out that dry air issue earlier this morning. The dry air persisted considerably longer than we anticipated, so it actually stopped that really rapid intensification process from occurring any earlier. Noon is when I expected the most intensification to start occurring. That seems to still be happening. I said that about 2 days ago. I thought it would be right around noon, 1 p.m. Sunday, all the way until landfall. So in my opinion, we're still right on track with a high-end Category 1 hurricane being a possibility. It still looks healthy, but it has a lot of work to do in order to get to that Category 1 status. So we'll just keep an eye on it and do our current observations. We're pretty much in the nowcasting business at this point. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to go over. Let me go ahead and dive on into it. Hopefully you guys are, again, having a great Sunday. It's been a long, long week for most of us here in the U.S. and everyone's celebrating July 4th and whatnot. So I'm going to turn off those advisories. That way you guys can see it a little bit better. That way you can see a bit better here. There we go. We're going to move that down there. So for today, we have a moderate risk for excessive rainfall in place along most of the southern southwestern metropolitan area of Houston. Back out down towards near Victoria. That's a level 3 out of 4 for the potential of even the threat of catastrophic flash flooding being a possibility. So significant flash flooding is expected with the potential of catastrophic flash flooding possible out here. So we'll be keeping a really, really close eye in and around that red area. So this includes the Woodlands, Kingwood, southwest of Beaumont, Texas, northeast of Corpus Christi. The forecast has shifted considerably more up to the northeast. We're now looking at Houston pointing to the southwest, and well to the northeast of Corpus Christi, having the biggest and or worst impacts. Then we could go into tomorrow. Tomorrow's where things really kick up. We have that moderate risk, that a large moderate risk, level 3 out of 4 for the potential of catastrophic flooding. Another large level 2 slight risk around that, and a level 1 marginal around that. Flooding will definitely be a big issue tomorrow for sure. 100% going to be a big issue tomorrow. But I will say, I am very concerned about the potential for a significant tornado outbreak tomorrow. We do have a large 5%. We could see a 10%, maybe even a 10 hatched area get introduced here in Louisiana and eastern Texas. A strong tornado will most likely be on the table tomorrow in western Louisiana, eastern Texas. We'll have to wait for current observations tomorrow morning and afternoon to determine if we're going to have a significant tornado threat or not. But tomorrow does look like a big time tornado producer potential out there in eastern Texas, western Louisiana, maybe into southwestern Arkansas as well, in that brown and around that 2% area as well. Wind threat shouldn't be much of an issue. We got a large 5%, and hail threat, we don't even have a hail threat. So I do see the potential for, 60 mile an hour winds, 55, 60 mile an hour winds around that brown area. But I'm most concerned about the tornado threat for tomorrow. I do think we will have a quite considerably more notable tornado threat for tomorrow. I'll show you why. Most of our models are picking up on it now, whereas before it was a lot of question marks. But here's your HRRR for tomorrow. I think beginning tomorrow afternoon, probably about 1, 2 p.m., we're going to have a very favorable environment that tries to kick up out here in Louisiana. And we could have multiple semi-discrete supercells that form thanks to what will at this point be tropical depression Beryl. But currently it is a tropical storm Beryl. And then later tonight it will be a hurricane. So we'll just call it for now Beryl. No, we won't give it any other nickname. It will just be Beryl. So thanks to Beryl, we're going to be looking at the potential for, I should say, a tornado outbreak out in this area. That's where I'm watching the most. So areas like Shreveport, barely west of Alexandria, eastern portions of Texas, near the Texarkana, if not Texarkana area as well. I do think we'll have the risk for a couple tornadoes. Remember, a tornado outbreak is 6 or more tornadoes. A tornado outbreak doesn't mean 50, 60 tornadoes, okay? It means, 6 or more tornadoes. I think we'll have that potential tomorrow, in my opinion. We'll have to wait, like I said, for morning observations. A lot of the time in this year, especially, the day before things look ridiculous, and then the day of, it's like, well, never mind, we just downtrended, every model runs wrong. So we just want to, we want to take precautions if you're out here in Louisiana, Arkansas, eastern Texas, for the potential of a couple tornadoes. And we also have other impacts like isolated damaging winds of 60 miles per hour, also tropical storm force wind speeds, especially closer to the coastline in Louisiana and Texas. We'll be keeping an eye on for that. And day 3, we do have a marginal for tornadoes up there in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois. We could see a couple tornadoes out of that too. So I do think this hurricane, soon to be hurricane, Beryl, I think it's going to have the risk for a couple of tornadoes throughout the U.S. For the next 3 days or so. But here's your watches and warnings. So those tropical storm warnings I was talking about, we don't actually have any into Louisiana at the moment, but we do have a very large span of tropical storm warnings that now include the entirety of the Houston metro, pointing up to the northeast towards College Station. So if you're back out there towards like Austin, San Antonio, I don't think you guys will see much. There's going to be that sharp cutoff line. And that seems to be right east of San Antonio. So there's your very sharp cutoff line. And I'll actually show you it way better using the precipitation totals. You'll be able to see that way easier if I can find it. Gracious day, come on now. Here's your precipitation totals for the next 48 hours right there. And look at that very sharp cutoff between where we could see potentially catastrophic flash flooding and light rainfall. So there's going to be a very, very sharp cutoff for that potential. I've got so many menus up here. Can I put one over here without y'all seeing it? Good. What about over here? Okay, I can. So yeah, here's that day 2 moderate. And you can see at the moment that moderate's like perfect. At the moment, they have a perfect moderate for flash flooding. You can see it follows the HRR's track of that potential for possibly even catastrophic flash flooding. The heaviest impacts and the worst hit areas will definitely be limited to mostly the shoreline areas. So I'll go ahead and switch on over to our MRMS again. So, we have those storm surge warnings in place now, all the way from Corpus Christi, all the way up towards Galveston, and even into Port Arthur, where we now have those storm surge warnings in place. I do want to get rid of those storm surge warnings so that way I can show you who's under those hurricane and tropical storm warnings as well. So those are your hurricane warnings in the purple, or not hurricane warnings, storm surge warnings in the purple. If we get rid of that, now you can see the hurricane warnings are out there south of Houston. So I kind of take note of that. Galveston, you are in a storm surge warning, but you're not in a hurricane warning. So you're in a storm surge warning, not a hurricane warning. You're inside a tropical storm warning out there in Galveston. Whereas back towards Lake Jackson, you're in both a hurricane warning and a tropical or a storm surge warning. I am just not able to speak again today. Holy moly, my word. Welcome, Catman and Clark. JD, I believe I already welcomed you. Welcome, Horse as well. So let me try and redo this again since I seem to not be able to talk recently. Red is your hurricane warnings. Blue is your tropical storm warnings. And then if I turn on those storm surge warnings, you'll see those flashing in pink and purple. So the storm surge warnings, that's where we're expecting the potential for inundation inland anywhere between, I think we're looking at anywhere between, I don't know the low end number. I'm going to go check before I say it just to make sure I say it correctly. Yeah, anywhere between, in those storm surge warnings, 2 to 6 foot storm surge will be possible. Now, the area that is most concerning for storm surge is really just barely west of the Galveston Bay, right in this area here. That's where we could have up to 6 foot storm surge. So Galveston Bay, you could have up to 5 foot storm surge to your west towards like Lake Jackson, Port, Lavaca. I probably butchered that. My word, that was terrible. We'll be keeping an eye on that area for the potential of 6 foot storm surge, up to 6 foot storm surge. So just make sure you're really hyper weather aware out there if you live anywhere inside these warnings. These are all warnings. There's no longer any watches in place. I'll just check real quick, actually. I wonder if there is a watch in place. Oh, yeah, there is actually. Look at this. The tiniest hurricane watch for Galveston. So Galveston, you're going to see tropical storm force wind speeds. There is a bit of a question mark on if you'll see hurricane force wind speeds. So they may upgrade that to a hurricane warning later down the line if confidence increases and you seeing hurricane force wind speeds. So Galveston, you're actually under that hurricane watch. That's the only watch we have in place. So you're in a warning, you're in a tropical storm warning because you're going to see tropical storm force wind speeds, but we'll also have the potential for hurricane force wind speeds. It's just a matter of exactly where that eye wall makes landfall. So if that eye is more to your west, they'll just keep that hurricane watch in place and it will never become a warning. If you end up getting inside that eye wall, in Galveston, then they'll upgrade that watch to a warning. So it just simply depends on what we see out there. But regardless, you need to prepare for hurricane impacts. You're in a hurricane watch, so if you're anywhere in this region here, I just suggest you prepare for hurricane force wind speeds. If you're in the coastal areas, you need to be preparing for the potential of 6 foot storm surge. It could be anywhere between 2 feet to 6 foot storm surge there. And as well as the potential for catastrophic flash flooding and possibly even some isolated rainfall totals could exceed 15 inches of rainfall. So we're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on those rainfall totals as they could be very, very significant. Now, we're not talking about a Harvey out of this. That's nearly all I saw yesterday on Twitter was the potential of this being another Harvey or people comparing this to Harvey. We're not looking at another Harvey here by any means. Now, we're still going to have significant flash flooding and potentially catastrophic flash flooding. Currently, the forecast is calling for 8 to 12 inches of rainfall with the potential of up to 15 inches of rainfall. And keep in mind, Harvey dropped 50 inches of rainfall. So, a foot of rainfall, that's still going to be, potentially catastrophic, but this is definitely not going to be another Hurricane Harvey like some people are comparing it to. So we'll just continue to monitor it. Please don't panic and think that this is going to be Harvey all over again. And I could tell you a bit of good news here too. So let me show you this as well. For those who are really worried about this, if this might actually become something like Harvey. At yesterday, if you guys remember the update I did 2 days ago, we were expecting this to become a hurricane right about this point here. Right here, we were thinking this could become a Category 1 hurricane. It's still not a Category 1 hurricane all the way at that newest update today. So it's actually falling slightly behind. Now, what that really means is we're still going to be looking at the potential for a Category 1 out of this, yes. But it shouldn't be having that opportunity to rapidly intensify into a Category 3 or 4 hurricane. It should not have that much time over water. We're looking at, landfall is expected here in 14 hours, 4 a.m. Eastern. I have 14 hours. That is enough for this to attempt rapid intensification, but we're really going to be looking at a high-end category, mid to high-end Category 1 hurricane, so prepare for, a lot of impacts still, hurricane force wind speeds, storm surge, tornadoes, and potentially catastrophic flooding. But we're not going to be looking at another Harvey here. And the only reason why I mentioned that is because I know a lot of you guys have, you're looking on social media for your tropical updates. Maybe you follow a few people on there as well. And hopefully people you follow haven't been saying this is going to be another Harvey, but I know people I follow have been saying that. So just make sure you're getting your sources from an accurate meteorologist. I should just say literally from a meteorologist. Make sure you're getting your information from a meteorologist. And the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center. That's what you see here. This is from the National Hurricane Center, all this stuff. These watches and warnings are from the National Weather Service. Those are both official. And then we do have, of course, the radar imagery here as well. So on this channel, we're going to show the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service. And then we'll show some model runs and some potentials for what we're going to expect out of this, which let me go ahead and actually, I haven't looked at this. I have not looked at this today. So be warned, you're going to get my reaction here too. So I can't put any disclaimer on this, but I will put a disclaimer because this actually normally overdoes intensification. But I want to see... Ooh, we're getting a new model run. So this normally overdoes intensification, but I do want to see what it has for this hurricane here. So currently at the 11 a.m. advisory, we are down to a 992 millibar. This is already 2 millibars too low, so it's already overdoing intensity. Not a good start. Hold on. What? Okay, H1 is in a little bit of a better position. Just 1 millibar too low. Okay, that's a more realistic scenario than the H-Wharf. So, yeah, we could get as low as potentially a low-end 980 millibar hurricane here, which would be an upper echelon Category 1. So we'll be keeping an eye out very, very closely. This is really going to come down to the last-second ordeal. If this had 24 more hours over the Gulf, we would probably be looking at a Cat 4, Cat 5 with this system. But thankfully, we do not whatsoever. We have 14, so we barely have half a day left for this storm to intensify, and it's still going to be probably pushing a high-end Category 1 hurricane with the small room that it has left to intensify. So, thank goodness for that dry air wind shear. That is for sure. I'm glad that dry air stayed around longer, because we could have actually been looking at a really bad scenario here, but like I said in my update 2 days ago, it really, even if this makes landfall as a tropical storm, it's still going to have potentially catastrophic impacts. So don't pay too much attention to that category. and don't pay too much attention to the overall structure of the storm once it makes landfall, because regardless, we're looking at catastrophic flash flooding. Regardless, we're looking at potentially life-threatening storm surge. Regardless, we're looking at the potential for a tornado outbreak over the next 2 to potentially 3 days. Even if this makes landfall as a mid-tier or a high-tier tropical storm, we're still looking at a solid landfall here with the potential of life-threatening conditions, especially along the coastline areas. So I want to make that clear as well. Of course, if if it becomes a category 2 versus a cat 1, that's going to matter a lot, because if you have a cat 1, you're looking at wind speeds of like 80, 85. If you have a cat 2, you're looking at 96, 100 mile an hour wind speed sustained. So that does matter, but I don't want you to pay too close attention to it and make your preparations around that. You may be saying, oh, this is just a category 1 hurricane. It's just a tropical storm right now. It's not going to be anything like a cat 4 or 5 here. So, don't take it like that. You want to prepare for the worst case scenario, which I really don't see a way this becomes a cat 3 at all. I think the worst case scenario at this point is a category 2, a low end category 2 hurricane. So prepare for the potential of a cat 2 hurricane if you're especially along the coastline areas, anywhere in this general vicinity here, and especially again on the coastline areas. Hopefully it won't be nearly as bad as what we're forecasting. A lot of the times with these hurricanes, you're going to have a very localized area that gets a, hold on a second. Okay, but you're going to get a very localized area that sees the worst impacts, which is normally from like a band that keeps going over the exact same area, or right to the east of where the eye is, that gets a bunch more storm surge than elsewhere. So that's probably going to be what we need to figure out, is who's going to see the utmost worst impacts from this, which at this point, it's pretty clear. We're looking at just barely west of Lake Jackson, back out towards that port name I can't tell or can't pronounce. That's where we're expecting those potentially catastrophic impacts in terms of life-threatening storm surge, catastrophic flooding, and as well as significant damaging winds. And that's really right on the coastline. But again, let me get rid of this cone. I have so much stuff on here. But again, so that's the area that we're looking at the worst impacts. Even around that, we're going to be seeing storm surge out here. We're going to be seeing potentially catastrophic flash flooding in and around the Houston area. Hurricane force wind speeds back out west of that area into the Bay City region towards Victoria. So it's not going to be just one little area that's impacted, but an area that sees those catastrophic impacts will probably be like a localized town, or right along the outer islands and south of Bay City, south of Lake Jackson. But again, the hurricane, as it's moving inland, it's going to be causing widespread damaging winds, widespread flash flooding, and as well as a very large area of storm surge too, all along the Texas coastline here. That's what we were talking about 2 days ago. Those warnings being extended up to the northeast, and now they extend across the entire coastline of Texas, and even we have those what is that, coastal flood or something? Yeah, coastal flood warnings into southwestern Louisiana. I live in Houston, and I'm nervous, anxiety, since the track shift a little to the east since yesterday. Yeah, just make sure you're weather aware. Make sure you know where to go if those winds get really high, and make sure your preparations are done. You do have a little bit extra time. So 2 days ago, I was saying before 2 p.m. You probably have a little extra time than that, but I would be finishing preparations immediately. Try to finish them as fast as you can. Make sure your all your loved ones and family members know that this thing's heading right near Houston. Make sure you have an area to seek higher ground to, especially if you're in a flash flood prone area. If you're in the coastal regions towards like the Galveston Bay, make sure you're heeding any local officials. And if you're told to evacuate, make sure you evacuate really quick and as quick as possible. Make sure you're in a sturdy structure as well. Try not to be in like a mobile home or a terrible hotel. I would hate to be stuck in a hotel during hurricanes. That's like a nightmare for me. So try to be in a home with a basement just in case you get under a tornado warning too, because you got to account for that. There's a lot of hazards. You got to make sure, a lot of hazards, I mean, gracious day. You got to make sure you're away from the coastline. You got to make sure you have an area to get to higher ground in case you get flooding. You got to make sure you have a basement or storm shelter or somewhere to seek shelter in case you get a tornado warning. You got to make sure your house is sturdy enough because you're going to be getting those consistent tropical storm force wind speeds. So these things always bring a lot of hazards, and it's just a lot to wrap your head around, which is why we that's why we do these live streams so frequently. Yesterday, I had to have a little bit of a break, but we do these live streams on these hurricanes for days at a time, all the way when they're out in the main development region. We start thinking of potential U.S. impacts, and we keep an eye on those ensembles and model runs. And a lot of the ensembles and model runs actually had it going towards Mexico, so I really didn't think that would be looking at the potential for a hurricane making landfall southwest of Houston. I really didn't think that would be a something on the table. So I will say I'm very caught off guard with how this is unfolding currently, in terms of what the forecast was like 5 days ago for this area. So yeah, just make sure you guys are hyper weather aware out there. Make sure you also charge your devices. We could have days without power out here in a worst case scenario. You could be without power for days, so make sure you have everything charged to make sure you're ready to be at least 72 hours without power. Make sure you're going to have enough food and water for that. Preparation should be rushed to completion immediately. You need to finish your preparations immediately. Welcome, Sam. Glad to see you in here. Yeah, I really hope people are careful as well. We'll have a storm chaser out there on the ground. It is an overnight landfall, so unfortunately, I don't think I'll be covering it too much. It's definitely on the table that I come back here tonight to brief y'all again. I'll definitely consider that. So, yeah, make sure you're subscribed to the channel just in case I come back on here. Make sure you have hit that like button and shared the stream. Liking the stream, sharing the stream, those are the two most important things so we can reach as many people as possible with the word of this hurricane today. I know the coverage is going to be everywhere on YouTube today. We're going to have a bunch of people, probably 30 plus people live streaming this event. It's the first solid hurricane to impact the U.S. in a while. I mean, we had our tropical storm in southern Texas. That wasn't a hurricane. It was it didn't even make landfall in Texas. It made landfall like down here, and we still had impacts up here. So this is the first landfalling hurricane that will occur in the U.S. We already have those hurricane warnings out and everything. So this is your reminder for everybody else along the Gulf coastline too. If you're in Florida, back out towards the Carolinas, Mississippi, Alabama, this thing only took about 7 days. About 7 days. I mean, not but a week ago, we were talking about the potential for a depression east of the Lesser Antilles. And then here we are now talking about a landfalling hurricane. So, I mean, it escalated very, very quickly over the last week. So you always want to have those hurricane preparedness plans ready to go. Hopefully this is reminding some of you guys, this is a pretty early start to the hurricane season. This is going right towards Texas, but we've been saying this for a long time. Doesn't matter where you live along the Gulf coastline or the eastern side of the U.S. If you're anywhere that normally sees hurricanes here, make sure you have that preparation plan in place and make sure it's ready to be taken into action. Because what good is it if you can't put it in action? So make sure you have that hurricane preparedness plan in place, and make sure you're activating that out here in these watches and warnings. That hurricane preparedness plan needs to be in place, and you need to be, taking action on that preparedness plan. And that could be something as simple as, your preparedness plan could be, okay, how fast can I get water? Where can I find food that I won't need to heat up? Where can I find the best forecast? Am I checking the National Hurricane Center at least every, like I said, when you're looking at a hurricane, you should be checking it at least every four times a day. But generally you should check it once a day if you're not under that imminent threat. And I know a lot of people don't even look at the National Hurricane Center. That's why you go out after your local meteorologist, as well as your National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. Make sure you're listening to all of them. Your local meteorologist, they're going to know this area best. So, just turning on the TV and listening to what they have to say about it, that's going to make you a lot more weather aware than probably half the people in Texas. So just make sure you see what your local National Weather Service and your local meteorologist is talking about. Because they're, most of the time, if not all the time, your local meteorologists are going to be able to predict it way better than, like the National Weather Service. Think of the National Weather Service. They're predicting the nation. The Storm Prediction Center, they're predicting the nation. The National Hurricane Center, they're predicting the nation. So your local meteorologist is going to be able to use those products that those bigger government branches put out, and then they'll be able to also correspond with, the terrain, how things interact with the time of day, how rain showers interact with mountains, and everything like that. Because here in Virginia, our local meteorologists, before, like for instance, the one of the snowstorms back in 2020, the National Weather Service and the Weather Prediction Center, they were forecasting somewhere around, like, say, I'll just throw a random number out. This is not going to be accurate by any means, but say the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center, they were forecasting about 8 inches of snowfall, and by local meteorologists, they would take into account, and they'd note, mountains are, of course, going to see higher snowfall, but they'll also take into account what snowstorms have done in the past, and they put out their, their own thoughts on it as well. And pretty much every time, my own meteorologist here, they're actually from Winston-Salem, they would get it a lot more correct than actually these bigger government branches like the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center. Speaking of that, I actually looked into it last night. NOAA is starting to partner with more private forecasts as well, more private companies for weather forecasts. So that's also something that's starting to spark up a lot more in the last 2 years, is private weather companies doing their own forecasts. And that is, I saw one, it was like there were 40% more accurate than the National Weather Service. That's some crazy numbers right there. 40% more accurate than the National Weather Service. So I'm going to keep researching that, and there's a chance that I'll actually try to access some of their programs, because I just figured it out yesterday, so I'll do some more research into that. I was doing that for like 4 or 5 hours yesterday. That's why I didn't live stream. I got really into forecasting what these private weather companies have done over the last 4 years, or the last 2 to 4 years. I have no idea, Conrad. I don't know if I don't even know if any meteorologist in Texas is talking about this. I'm very sure they are, though. Let's see, Texas weather. I mean, if I just look that up, I'm sure. Yeah, there actually is. So if you go to, I don't normally say channel names, but I know I'm not going to be here forever, so I do want to just let y'all know. If you go to KHOU 11, that is, I believe, a meteorologist news station, or a news station as a whole out there, based in Houston. They're currently live tracking the storm, and I imagine they're going to stay live throughout the entire system. So they seem to be covering that pretty well, wall to wall, like you were talking about there. So maybe if you want to, you could just go over to their stream as well. That's their channel name is KHOU 11 on YouTube. I mean, they've been live for almost 6 hours now, so it seems like they're given quite frequent updates to it. And again, I don't know anything about them, but I mean, they're just live streaming it, and seems, they're meteorologists too. Hey, the Weather Channel's on there. Whoa, that model run is dead wrong. What did they just pull up? They just pulled up a spaghetti model that had this going into Brownsville. Yeah. Yeah, somebody needs to delete that one. I don't even know. Hold on. Do we have that? I wonder if we have that. Spaghetti model runs. We gonna go over to here. Nope. Nope. I don't see that. I wonder what spaghetti model they were using for that. Because it had the center being like down here and going like this. So that spaghetti model was obviously, something's wrong with it. Because our center, our quote, eye is generally right there where I just circled in pink. And that spaghetti model was like this. It's like, yeah, hey, you're a little bit too far south there, buddy. The eye is up here, not down here. So let's go and switch back over to the current look at this hurricane here. Tropical storm, soon to be hurricane. I'm sorry, I'm so used to calling it a hurricane. I mean, we've been tracking Beryl for so long, and almost every time I've mentioned it, it's a hurricane. So this is now a tropical storm, and it should intensify into a hurricane in the next 7-ish hours or so. It should be a Cat 1 by the 8 o'clock Eastern advisory. But you can see this storm, honestly, in my opinion, looks really healthy. It looks really healthy from what I could tell here. Compared to this morning when it just really had a blob of convection. I mean, it just looked messy. It just kind of had this messy blob of convection just kind of sitting there earlier this morning. And now it's really sorted that out. And, I mean, you can see it. Look at that. You can see two little bands. You've got a band here that's beginning to form and a band here that's beginning to form. So you have these two little bands right here and right here that have begun to form on Beryl. I wonder if that's, what if you can, yeah. Look at that. You can see that from the radar. You can see that from the radar here. So you have your main eye that's trying to wrap around here, and then you have your, it's not really your outer eye, but we'll just say a more intense rain band out here. So your eye is trying to form here, then you have an intense rain band to the southwest of that. So this is trying its best and trying its hardest to intensify. You can see earlier this morning, it had this big circulation. You know, there's no eye, there's no very concentrated area of circulation here. It just looks messy. And now that is kind of wrapped around and it's beginning to really, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's just getting a better structure overall. The rain's wrapping around at the, Parliament, welcome to the stream, by the way. The rain's getting all the way around the eye. It's trying to intensify. There's the day 2 outlook. Still a slight risk for severe weather for tomorrow. That's going to be a level 2 out of 5. Probably going to be mainly for a tornado threat. But anyways, yeah, you're just getting a lot of more intense convection around the entire system as a whole, especially right where that low pressure is. It's attempting to form that eye now. Maybe it's consolidate. Maybe that's the word that I was looking for. That might be the word I was trying to look for here. Let's see here. Connor has pretty cool cloud. He's not live currently, but he just tweeted about it. He's got a whale's mouth. He shouldn't... I don't think Connor's going to be live till like 4 tonight. Or 4 this evening. Oh, that is not his name. There we go. Yeah, 4 p.m. So we'll see what the forecast ends up looking like later on, y'all. We're going to stay live for the new update. That's the whole point why I went live and why I chose 1 p.m. to go live. So we'll be live for 2 hours, I think, today. We're only 40 minutes in. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll be live for about an hour and a half or 2. Well, Pete, don't forget about the Chicago road course today. On NASCAR, I don't know when green flag's expected. Or when green flag's gonna fly. 4:30? Yikes. It's pretty late. Xfinity was what, 3:30 yesterday? Yep. So, yeah, again, just make sure your preparations are underway if you're out there in Houston, or actually, I shouldn't even say Houston, I should say the entire coastline of Texas. If you're in any of these colored areas, so there's tropical storm warnings, the hurricane warnings, storm surge warnings, your coastal flood warnings, make sure you're just weather aware if you're anywhere in this whole region here. This is where the majority of our impacts should be, right in here. And of course, our highest impacts will be right barely west of Galveston. Generally, in this area, I don't see those two town names, but somewhere in there is where we're going to have those potentially catastrophic impacts, really in the form of rainfall. Now, we could have catastrophic impacts in terms of flooding more inland, but it's most likely directly at that coastal area where we see the best chance for catastrophic flooding. We shouldn't have anything else catastrophic. The storm surge is expected to be significant to potentially life-threatening. The damaging winds won't be catastrophic. Catastrophic hurricane is a Category 5. This should be a Category 1. So really the flooding is going to be the most widespread and biggest issue out of this storm. But again, the damaging winds, the tornadoes, the storm surge, all that stuff's still going to be something to keep an eye on, still going to be something that you want to prepare for. A lot of things to prepare for. I mean, gracious day, you have so many hazards. The flooding, storm surge, the damaging winds, the tornadoes, and I'm sure I forgot one other impact, but I mean, there's like 4 or 5 different hazards that these things bring along with them. So, yeah, again, that's Beryl. It's your current look at Beryl. It's not the most healthy tropical storm at the moment. It doesn't look like it's going to be a rapidly intensifying tropical storm. So, in my opinion, it looks healthy, but in the sense of what Beryls looked like before, this is about as disorganized as we've seen it. But again, I do believe we're still going to be looking at a Cat 1 out of this. We'll see the 2 o'clock advisory. I expect them to upgrade this to 65 mile-an-hour winds. I don't know if they're actually going to do that. Oh, wait. I didn't even realize it's already at 65, y'all. It's already at 65 mile-an-hour winds. My goodness. Like I said, I've had a long week. Y'all. This is one of the craziest 4th of Julys I've ever had. If not the craziest one, so. I didn't even realize that the wind speeds were already up to 65 mile-an-hour winds. Gracious day. "30 miles inland from Galveston." Well, glad to have you here, Nancy. And, yeah, thankfully you're inland, so that's good news. So that's probably going to put you closer towards, like, League City. Still want to prepare for a lot of impacts. But you shouldn't see that ridiculous storm surge threat. That's really what we're worried about the most on the coastal areas. Back out here towards Galveston is storm surge. Now, the catastrophic flash flooding potential, that's going to be more off to the west of Galveston. I wish I could show you the map here. That would be really nice if I could just show the map. Let's see if I can. Here, I'll just draw it for you. So, the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center, they have it being from the heaviest flash flooding generally west of Galveston all the way towards here. So, that's where they have the worst impacts being currently as of the 11 o'clock advisory. So, that's west of Galveston, south of Houston, right when the system makes landfall. So there's a lot of impacts that you need to be ready for. Hopefully you see absolutely nothing. That'd be great. That'd be great. I hope the system just completely falls apart. It doesn't, it's not as healthy as what we were anticipating. You know, we were expecting it to be a Cat 1 at this point. But, I mean, it still looks good enough to the point where you need to be preparing for tropical storm and hurricane impacts out there. Like I've said, you want to prepare for the worst case scenario and hope for the best case scenario. Which, I mean, like I said, this thing's almost 13 hours, actually, almost 12 hours away from landfall now. No, 13 hours. It's 13 hours from landfall. About 4 a.m. Eastern is what we're looking at landfall being. And that's not a whole lot of time over the Gulf. You know, if this had 30 hours, I would be extremely concerned. But it has, you know, every single hour it's closing in on landfall, and it's going to have less and less and less time over land or over water. Yep. That's me for you. Overland. Yep. Come on now. Let me see when the HRRR has this being landfall. Making landfall here. 4 a.m. is the HRRR. So HRRR says 4 a.m. is landfall. The NAM, which please don't take the intensity seriously. This is going to look ridiculous, but it's not going to happen. 4 a.m. as well. So 4 a.m. seems to be the most likely time for landfall. We'll do our hurricane models, which is our more accurate ones. 4:35 a.m. on the H-Wharf. And the H-Mon shows about 3 to 4 a.m. So it seems like 4 a.m. is really in the middle there. So that's when I'll expect landfall there, is 4 a.m. tonight. So that's still, if I can do math, about 14 hours and 16 minutes away from estimated landfall. You're welcome, Nancy. My apologies for being all over the place. Normally I'm not like this. I can't even put sentences together. Thanks for coming in, an EF1 member, Timothy. Greatly, greatly appreciated. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. And oil refineries, I have no idea. I don't live out there in Texas, so I can't comment on that one. I cannot comment on that. Let's see here. On the new day 2 outlook, the SPC mentions a corridor of greater tornado probs may be needed. Really? Yeah, I didn't look at that yet. Let me go read that. Oh, yeah, there you go. Wait. Isolated, widely scattered thunderstorms will be possible across a broad region across the upper Midwest. The upper Midwest. Again, the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Severe probabilities may eventually be needed if a corridor of somewhat more focused potential becomes apparent. So they're talking about adding a marginal risk tomorrow in the northern plains in the Midwest. That is not considering a upgrade for this. But if you go up a little bit, let me show you this one. This is what Indiana's talking about. So this says Louisiana, East Texas, Arkansas, and southern Missouri and Illinois. So some expansion of the 5% tornado probability has been made on the latest guidance and NHC forecast. And this is what Indiana just talked about. A corridor of greater tornado probabilities may eventually be needed depending on trends regarding the track intensity and size of Beryl. So we could see, I don't think that'd be a 10 seg. That would probably be a 10% tornado risk. Somewhere generally out in, in that 5%. So I can't say exactly where, but it would probably be somewhere in here where we would see that 10% tornado risk added if they do that. So somewhere in that 5% could get upgraded to a 10% tornado risk. And that would most likely be western Louisiana, east, southeastern Texas, southern Arkansas. Keep in mind, this is for tomorrow, by the way. This is for Monday. This is for Monday. What else do they say here? Some tornado threat could go as far north as the Ozarks region Monday night as Beryl continues northward. Strong winds will be possible. Now, what do they say about day 3? Because I actually didn't read that either. The remnants of Beryl should track north-northeastward as a strengthening and deepening surface cyclone. Few tornadoes are possible with the stronger, more sustained storms that can develop. It is possible greater severe probabilities may be needed in later outlooks to address the severe threat. However, too many discrepancies exist between deterministic medium range guidance members in terms of placement and timing of the surface low in association to the buoyancy shear parameter space to delegate higher severe probabilities. So we'll probably see a slight risk added for that too. That's day 3, so that's Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll probably see an enhanced risk for tornadoes, and then today I don't really see anything of anything crazy here. We'll just keep an eye on marginal 1, marginal 2, slight risk 1, slight risk 2, slight risk 3. There's freaking 5 different areas to track here. This risk here that I was talking about 2 days ago being a bit more notable, it downtrended fast. Like, fast. That thing went from possibly being an concern to, okay, well, we may have 60-mile-an-hour winds. So I really don't see that's going to be, I don't really see that being much of an issue. But we'll still watch it, keep an eye on it, just in case something random happens there. But we shouldn't see much activity. They even took off the tornado risk there. So no tornado risk in Oklahoma or northern Texas for today. Now we do have a tornado risk further south, of course, where Beryl will be making landfall very late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Again, we're looking at anywhere between 3 and 5 a.m. for landfall. Most timing is 4 a.m. Eastern. Again, that's 4 a.m. Eastern, so that would actually be 3 a.m. Central Time out there towards Houston. That would be 3 a.m. y'all's time out there. Do we have any recon going through this? I know they scheduled 10. Oh, yep, recon's in it now. That is not anything new. I want to see what pressure they find. Let's see. Well, that can't be right. They must have missed the low pressure. They only got a pressure of like 997. That's high. That's pretty high. That's typically like low-end, maybe mid-tier tropical storm right there for that pressure. They must have missed the eye. Let's see. Yeah, they'll probably find lower millibars than that. I don't think that, I don't think that's right. If that's the case, then this storm's rapidly weakening. And I mean rapidly, like a 5 millibar increase. That's pretty rapid weakening there. Also, I do want to note the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center did note that rapid intensification is possible. So we will have the potential of a Category 2 here. Both the National Weather Service, I believe Corpus Christi talked about that, as well as the National Hurricane Center's discussion, mentioned the potential for rapid intensification, possibly into a Category 2 hurricane as this moves up to the north-northwest. So this is our current look, by the way. The other things that I was looking at was the model runs. This is a look at what Beryl looks like now. Same goes for this. This is what it looks like right now. So you can see this big area of broad circulation here. Very large region. Your eye is attempting to form right in the middle, right out in here. Where it's really trying to get an eye going. It's not really succeeding too well, but you can see it's trying. It is trying. This storm, this will look completely different in 12 hours, by the way. This is going to look completely different in 12 hours. It will look like a whole entire different hurricane, most likely. Or different storm altogether. So most likely the National Hurricane Center is waiting to receive that recon data drop zone, which should be in the next 5 minutes. I believe we should receive that in the next 5 minutes here. And once they receive that, they'll coordinate that with their update and then release their update probably in 7 minutes. Right around the next 7 minutes. I don't think they'll change much. I don't really see the need to change anything on that new update. I'm trying to think of anything. Maybe the pressure might be adjusted a little bit, but I don't really see a need to adjust anything. But we'll see. We'll see. One back, Chip. Atmosphere is recovering behind the front here in Oklahoma. Yeah, probably. It shouldn't be anything too crazy. I don't think we'll see much severe weather today. We'll definitely see a few severes for 60-mile-an-hour winds, but I don't think we'll see any like significant severe weather or anything worth covering. I believe, what day was it? Was it yesterday that started popping off? Yeah, I think it was yesterday morning. We had a regional tornado outbreak. I'm pretty sure. I could go check it. I wasn't home, so I kind of couldn't cover it. Oh, no, it's not a tornado outbreak yet. It's not considered an outbreak just yet. So we had a regional severe weather event. I think we had, what, almost 2.5-inch hail or something? Let me go see. 2.75-inch hail was the biggest hail we saw. 82-mile-an-hour wind gust. And about 4 tornadoes or so. So we had quite the severe threat yesterday. That took place in mainly southern Nebraska, western Kansas. So yeah, we're just gonna wait for this new update, y'all. I appreciate all you guys being in here. If you can, hit that like button. We're at 60 likes, and share the stream with your family, friends, social media. We'll go through everything again. Keep talking about this for a while. This is the last planned live stream. I don't know when I'll be live next. Tomorrow. I'll be live tomorrow. I just remembered we got that tornado threat tomorrow, so I'll be right back here tomorrow covering that tornado threat in Louisiana and eastern Texas, most likely. As long as that doesn't kick up until like 4 o'clock. I don't know. It looks like that tornado threat might actually be peaking towards noon. Looks like from 12 all the way till the whole day. From noon and on, that tornado threat looks very interesting tomorrow. Bit of a flash warning. Yeah, there you go. I'll loop that for you. NATOcast always overdoes things, Chip. Always, always, always. I believe for Ian, NATOcast had like a 45 or a 30 sig tornado risk. And I don't even think we had many tornadoes from that. Here, let me look it up. Let's see, when did Hurricane Ian make landfall? September 20th. Oh, no, that's when it formed. September 28th is when it made landfall. So let me go to the National Weather Service. Events. September 28th. So the peak of hurricane season. 2022? It's not even on here. It's not even on here. Okay, let me just go to the year of 2022 and then go back to September and find it. Oh, it was September 27th. We had 11 tornadoes from Ian. Oop, 10. About 10 tornadoes from Ian. What about the next day on the... Nothing on the 28th. Oh, wait, no, we had 1 tornado on the 28th in eastern Florida. So, yeah, we had about 10, maybe 11 tornadoes from Ian. So, not that many. What was the risk for that? I bet it was a slight risk. Go all the way to the 27th again. The National Weather Service had a slight risk out. Yep. It's not too common to see an enhanced risk for severe weather with a tropical system. It's a little bit on the rare side. Keep in mind, Ian was a Category 5, and we had a Level 2 out of 5 for tornadoes. Yeah, NATOcast is horrific with tropical cyclones. Give me just a moment. Okay. Just had to quickly do something, y'all. That update is still not out. They are taking their time. Is the National Hurricane Center going to be late for once? Let me go over to the recon again. I guess that's what they're waiting on. Did we not? Is it 1626? We didn't get a drop zone. Are you kidding me? They didn't give us a drop zone. Dude. Okay, well, I guess we're not really going to get much information from that from the recon. Oh well. Oh well. Alrighty, so again, if you're just tuning in, here's all your warnings that are active currently. We have a lot of tropical storm warnings in place. Those go all the way from Houston and back west towards the, geez, this goes very far west, Beeville area. Also goes towards Kingsville, back out towards southeastern Texas, towards the Port Isabel area. So those are all tropical storm warnings in that dark blue. We have a coastal flood warning in effect for southwestern Louisiana that includes portions just south of Lake Charles. And then, of course, we have our hurricane warnings that are in effect for Victoria, also for the coastal areas from Lake Jackson all the way back out towards Corpus Christi. We also have those hurricane warnings in place, as well as storm surge warnings. So a lot of warnings out currently. And we'll see. We'll see if we get any new updates from the National Hurricane Center in terms of those warnings and see if they issue anything new. This is your current, this is your projected track, which this should update very, very soon. Any second this track should update. We are currently looking at a Category 1 hurricane that is expected with winds of about 85 to 90 miles per hour sustained at landfall. Landfall should be about 3 a.m. Central Time, late tonight, tomorrow morning. Bunch of hazards. Storm surge up to 6 feet. Tornado outbreak will be possible tonight and into tomorrow. That new advisory just came out. And we're also looking at the potential for catastrophic flooding, and of course damaging winds too. So there's that new advisory. I'm going to go see if they changed absolutely anything, which I don't think they would have. There it is, and 65-mile-an-hour winds and a 992. Nothing changed. Did the cone change? Yeah, they fixed that. Yep, it's expected to be a hurricane in the next 6 hours. In the next 6 hours, it's expected to be a hurricane. It looks like those watches and warnings are exactly the same as well. Storm surge still looks the same. This looks the same. That is the same. So pretty much nothing new. Really nothing new there. So, yeah, of course, we're going to have a few other impacts very later down the line here. I guess we'll use the NAM model for this, but, you know, take it lightly because it is the NAM. So we're expecting this to potentially stay a tropical depression or a post-tropical depression or post-tropical cyclone is what they call it. Either a tropical depression or a post-tropical cyclone as it moves up to the northeast over Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, even into Ontario. So we'll be keeping a really, really close eye on that. For really the main threat will be the potential of probably tornadoes, I want to say. Is the rainfall threat much of an issue? Yeah, it looks like rain and tornadoes will probably be the biggest issue out of this as it moves up in this general area here. Now, the tornado threat is going to be the greatest in this currently green area. If I can find the... Oh my goodness, let me move all these out of the way here. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. There we go. In the green area right here. That dark green is where your tornado threat will be the highest on Tuesday. Yeah, I had way too much stuff open, Catman. I have 4 or 5 different windows open here. So again, this is our last planned update on Beryl. We'll be live for coverage tomorrow on the tornado threat at some point. I'll still consider an update live stream later on tonight. It's expected to be a hurricane here. Huh. They need to fix that. That advisory's coming in and it's kind of broken it, but it's expected to be a hurricane at 8 o'clock. It's expected to be a hurricane at 8 o'clock tonight. So from here on out, we should see a slow intensification progress, or and then it may try to rapidly intensify, but I really don't think so. I really don't think so. And if it does, it might rapidly intensify into a low-end Category 2. So, yeah, there's really not much more to talk about other than that. I mean, there's really no other severe weather threats or anything, just the severe threat from this tropical storm and eventually will be a hurricane. That's probably going to be the only thing to talk about. Other severe weather threats just don't look interesting at all. I really don't see anything that that looks interesting. Am I getting a storm right now? No. Actually, I might be. Yeah, my radar's been down for so long out here. The Blacksburg radar site got struck by lightning, so I haven't had a radar in like 2 days or so. That has got to be one of the worst storms I've seen in this area in a hot minute. I mean, it literally knocked the radar site out with a lightning bolt. We had trees down all over the western side of our county, power outages. Absolutely crazy. I didn't even experience it. It didn't even look that good, so I didn't even chase. Turns out it did a bunch of stuff, and I don't think, let me look at all these actually real quick. These aren't going to be much of a threat. It doesn't have a well-defined eye currently, but it does have a very clear circulation here. So no, it doesn't have an eye at the moment, but it will tonight. It will tonight. It still is having to work out some dry air and a little bit of wind shear, but I think that wind shear is gone now, so it's just the tiniest bit of wind shear, not enough to hurt the system, and it's really just at this point some lingering dry air, and that will be probably gone here very shortly, if not already is gone. So I don't think there's much that's going to stop this storm. The only thing that's really going to stop it is the fact that it only has about 14-ish hours of water time left before it makes landfall. And Beryl's going to try to go out with a bang here. It's going to try to push Category 2 status and as well as have a tornado outbreak tomorrow. So just can't get a break from this absolutely historic system. Absolutely crazy. I mean, this thing is tracked far. Y'all want to see how far we've been, how long this storm's tracked and how long we've been tracking this thing? Here you go. Here you go. Absolutely crazy. We first tracked it as it came off the coastline of South Africa, or not South Africa, Africa. Africa. Moved off south of Cape Verde, then continued off to the northwest, and then now it's over here in Texas, so. I believe it formed, I posted a tweet about it. I don't really feel like looking at it, but I'm going to look at it anyways. So it was designated as a tropical depression on, gotta go back to my tweet yesterday. Oop, I am way too far. I am back to the 2nd. Gracious day. Let me go back up here. Became a depression on the 29th of June. Gracious. So it was a tropical depression on the 29th of June, and then I believe it became a tropical storm on the 30th, and then it became a Category 5 hurricane. It peaked at intensity on July 1st. It became a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 165 on July 1st. Then it impacted the Yucatan Peninsula on the night of the 4th. And then here we are. It's going to impact Texas on the night of the 7th today. Man, what a journey this storm has had. And I don't know about how long this thing's going to be a depression. They have it being a depression or a post-tropical cyclone. I mean, all the way up until freaking Ontario, almost getting into Quebec. So, I don't know about it. We'll see how long it lasts. But I will say it looks pretty healthy right now. I mean, it doesn't look the worst. It looks a whole heck of a lot better than it did this morning when I woke up at 9 o'clock. It looks way better now. So, yeah. I think we're going to conclude it in an hour and a half. I would try to push it to 2 hours, but honestly, there's not really a whole lot more to talk about. I just really wanted to get on here, update you guys about this, make sure you're weather aware. So, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing for the rest of the day, so there's a chance my friend Lucky goes live. Lucky's Weather. If you look up YouTube on here, look up Lucky's Weather on YouTube. He might go live today, but I don't know. I don't know. If he does, then I'll see you guys over there for those who follow him. And if not, then I will definitely see you guys tomorrow. I'll be live at some point tomorrow. It's a Monday. I don't have anything Monday. There's nothing Monday. I don't think I have anything to do this week. Beryl just formed and happened on a weekend that I was very busy. Over July 4th. Very busy. So, yeah. I appreciate everybody being in here. Before you leave, if you can hit that like button, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. And even after the live stream ends, you could also hit that like button. It really, really helps. It pushes us out to more people even after the stream ends. Yesterday's live stream got an additional 1.4 thousand views. 1.4 thousand views after we ended because you guys hit the like button even after I ended the live stream. And that pushed it out to even a lot more people after I ended. So, yeah, I mean, geez. First hour got 700 views, and then over the next 25 hours after that, it gradually went up. Man. Yeah, it really did get pushed out there. Even after I ended the live stream. I'm glad YouTube stops pushing it out after, let's see. Yeah, YouTube really stops pushing it out after 12 hours? Yeah, 12 hours. After 12 hours, YouTube just doesn't recommend the live streams that have finished anymore, so. Yeah. Well, glad to have you here, Thomas. Hopefully you stay safe out there. Like I said, prepare for the worst case scenario. Prepare for this to be a Cat 2 and hit Houston, but hope for the best case scenario, which is this storm continuing to be disorganized. But at the moment, that thing looks really impressive to me. I know a lot of people on Twitter were saying that this storm's probably not even going to be reaching a Category 1 hurricane, and man, I gotta highly disagree with that one. This one looks like it's trying to become a hurricane now. But Recon didn't find hurricane force wind speeds. They didn't find a lower millibar. So at the moment, it's just at the same as what it was 3 hours ago. It'll most likely hit hurricane intensity in about 5 hours, 6 hours here or so. 6 hours, yeah. The 8 o'clock advisory, 6 hours. Gracious day. Okay. Hello, Paris. Glad to see you made it. We're almost at the end of the stream. We've got about 15 more minutes left here. But hey, I'm glad you can make it. I know you've been busy recently. Yeah, we're just watching. We're just watching our tropical storm. Same thing we've been watching for 10 days now. Same exact thing. We now have radar on it, and look at it go. Look at it spinning. I've always found it's great. It's great when you have good radar coverage. This thing's been out in the middle of nowhere with very low definition radar softwares, and now we have the high definition radar thanks to the US. Closer it gets, the more we'll see of it. We will really start seeing it as it turns into nighttime tonight towards 10 o'clock. Let me see when we're going to be on our, quote, radar hole. I want to see where we're going to be in our radar hole here. Yeah, 11 o'clock tonight is when you're really going to start being able to see it. 11 p.m. tonight Eastern time. But it's starting to go into our radar hole that is the Gulf of Mexico. Still. But we're still going to be able to see the outer bands of it. I don't really see much of a tornado threat, like today. I think that tornado threat's mainly going to be very late tonight when the storm makes landfall, and then especially tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. And I think the NAM model has, yeah, I don't know what the NAM is doing for Tuesday. It shows a really concerning severe threat for tornadoes, but the NAM model overdoes everything. It shows this thing being a Cat 5, and that's not a possibility. Oh, finally! We just got the drop zone data. They did do a drop zone. Down at 991, so a whole entire one pressure drop. Not really anything big. Not really anything big. And then they didn't find any hurricane force wind speeds. Okay. Right, I'm going to put in the cone all the way up to Indiana. Will it likely produce severe storms that way or no? Yeah, so you could obviously see the cone here goes all the way up to freaking Quebec. All the way into Quebec now. We definitely will have a risk for a couple severe storms and a few tornadoes as we go towards Tuesday, especially in this green area here. I think that greatest threat is going to be focused out towards this region here, but we'll probably have the risk for a few tornadoes and isolated damaging winds in and around this whole area here. So, yeah, definitely possible. It's definitely possible we see a couple severes for, 60-mile-an-hour winds and a couple weak spin-up tornadoes as well. But a widespread, notable, severe threat, no. Nope. I don't know if that's ever came from a tropical storm where we have a big, severe threat. But yeah, a couple tornadoes will be possible Tuesday, for sure. The highest tornado threat is going to be tomorrow, though. At least at the moment, it looks like tomorrow is going to be the worst tornado threat inside this level 2 out of 5 slight risk, and they actually are talking about upgrading that to an enhanced risk level 3 out of 5. Yes, that's on Tuesday. Today's Sunday, tomorrow's Monday, and yes, day 3 is Tuesday. It would probably be more, at least from what I could tell, a late afternoon to an evening threat, so probably after 3 p.m. when those storms really start to kick up. But we'll have to wait until we get closer, because at the moment it's still far out. It's still far. The tiniest little wobble in this hurricane could change that whole forecast, so... Yeah, you wanna be ready for it, but you don't want to take it as if it's going to happen. You know, if you're in this green area, you want to be ready for the potential of tornadoes. We're not expecting them yet, but you want to be ready for the potential of tornadoes if you're anywhere from pretty much Dayton back towards Bloomington, back out towards almost Jonesboro, Arkansas, into Memphis, Nashville, and back up towards Williamsburg. So generally that whole area there. What's up, Bella? Glad to see you back in here. We're getting, like I said, close to the end of the live stream. Very welcome to watch the first 30 minutes to 40 minutes of the live stream. That's when it was the most informative. I mean, these tropical systems, typically when I look at a tropical storm or a hurricane, I think, man, I could do a briefing on this, and I could keep talking about it for 5-6 hours, and then 30 minutes in, I'm like, man, I literally went through all that information in 30 minutes. So, I'm just not very good with covering hurricanes too long, but I do eventually want to become, not become, but rather, do it like a 12-hour live stream on a hurricane. We actually just got a severe storm. Look at that. Woodville. 60-mile-per-hour winds, 0.75-inch hail possible with that. Near Jasper, southeastern Texas. So, like I said, I eventually want to do like a 12-hour live stream or something. I think Lucky wants to do that as well. But it can't be this one. It can't be this one. It's just not a good timing for both me and Lucky. So hopefully we can do that one hurricane, and hopefully y'all will join us for that. I don't know if that would be this year. I'm not gonna make any promises on when that will be. But yeah, anyways, y'all, we're gonna call it quits here in 10 minutes. Like I said, this is the last planned live stream for Beryl. Tomorrow we will be going into tornado coverage for Beryl, which will actually be named like, it'll actually be Tropical Depression Beryl or something like that tomorrow, as it weakens considerably, making landfall there. So yeah, what a crazy journey we've had with this storm. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. It won't be over until it's over, which will be once this thing gets in Canada late Tuesday into Wednesday. So far, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 live streams on Beryl with 3 videos. I could try to do a video, but I don't know. When was our last video? Oh, shoot. 8 days ago? It's been that long. My word, we've done so many live streams, y'all. So I'm going to loop this for our outro. But yeah, the next 10 minutes or so, it's going to be a bit of a quiet live stream. Because there's not much more to talk about. We already talked about those, all the impacts, everything like that. So hope you guys have had a great Sunday so far and had a great 4th of July. Quite a busy one. Quite a busy one, that's for sure. Especially in the weather world with this current tropical storm happening here. Soon to be a hurricane. Thankfully, not that much severe weather to speak of in the near future. I didn't look at their outlook. Actually, I'll look at that. Let's see. Ooh. What day is that? Wednesday through Friday, the potential for a significant MCS. However, probabilities have not been added in this outlook cycle due to uncertainty on the exact placement and disagreement between the synoptic scale features between the medium guidance and the... Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me look at Friday. What did I say? What did I say? Wednesday through Friday. Wednesday through Friday. Oh, I see that. I see that indeed. We got a little high pressure with a low pressure going on the northern side. A little bit of some Corn Belt derecho action there. Don't think it's actually going to be much of an issue, but we'll keep an eye on specifically Thursday and Friday. Currently, most specifically Friday, for the potential of all hazards, including a significant line of damaging winds. Doesn't look that over the top just yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. Is it capped out? Something's going on in the GFS. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. That would be up towards South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, as well as southern Minnesota. Or most of Minnesota. So we'll keep an eye on that. You just went through that early band. Yeah, probably was just some rain. Really, your main impacts are going to start kicking up out towards late tonight. Everybody loves a nocturnal hurricane. Right? 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 No. Nope. I hate it. Not only does it absolutely, it's absolutely terrible for tracking, but it's also absolutely terrible for anything. Chasers, the public, can't see a thing, can't see what's happening outside. Chasers can't see what's happening. It's in the middle of the night, so you're not up. Give me just a second. There we go. So, yeah, no notable severe threat after Beryl, which is good news. I hope I don't jinx myself. You probably did. Looking at that National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center discussion. We might have something on Friday. Like I said, Thursday into Friday. I don't really see much in regards to tropical activity. The GFS has 3 hurricanes in the EPAC, which currently, actually, the national, nope, not that. The Climate Prediction Center actually just highlighted an area with about a 20% chance of tropical development from the 17th to the 23rd of July. So looks like we'll be keeping an eye on the EPAC for the potential of tropical development as we go towards the latter half of July, the middle and latter half of July. For Victoria, would I recommend evacuation? No. No, the only area I would recommend evacuating, like if your officials haven't said it, and you're really considering evacuation, it would be this area here. This is where, if I lived, I'm evacuating this place if I lived here, which I don't know if many people do live here. Yeah, there's some people, yeah, so if I lived in one of these houses here, I would evacuate. Better safe than sorry, but Victoria, no. No, you should be able to write it out. Definitely be prepared for evacuations just in case for some reason they do tell you to evacuate, but I don't really see a reason for them to say that. But yeah, a lot of rainfall, some damaging winds. That's going to be your main issue. I think flooding will be your main issue there. Flooding and some damaging winds as the eye wall passes to your east or over you around 4 a.m. tomorrow. That is central. So you're about 14 hours away from your peak activity out there in Victoria. So what I would recommend is just making sure everything is hunkered down, make sure everything's tightened down, make sure you are prepared to stay in your safe spot by 8 o'clock tonight. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Sorry for ending so quickly right there. It snuck up on me. But yeah, stay safe out there, everyone. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. Stay safe. Watch severe weather in the tropics. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Or day. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics, and I'll see you guys in another live stream. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Mod, for Mod Chat. Goodbye.